every day in the emergency department in the Children's Hospital in Belfast, we see the effects of poverty. So, we have seen little 14-month-old infants here who are so hungry when you offer them toast and milk. They stuff toast into their nappies because they know they're never going to see another bite. We've had 7-year-old children here who are so hungry, we give them Rice Krispies, they eat 3 bowls of them, then they eat toast, and then they're worried, am I going to get another bite today? And then we also see children who have been poor for years, who have chronic illnesses, they have iron deficiency anemia, they have constipation because their diets are so poor, they have dental decay. We have the highest rate of dental decay in the whole of the UK. And the biggest cause for having a general anaesthetic in Northern Ireland is to have your teeth removed because they are rotten. Between 10 and 12 teeth are cleared out of children's mouths every day in Northern Ireland because their diets are so poor and they're so malnourished. And it's a disgrace.
Do you get a chance, Julie-Ann, to talk to the parents of these children when you're treating them? And if you do, what do they say to you about the situation they and their children find themselves in?
So I'm a paediatrician and we are in an extremely privileged position. We see children as part of a family. So whenever we take a history, we speak to the parents, we get a glimpse into their lives. We know, what they do for a living, whether they drink, whether they smoke, how many children they have, how many siblings. So we do get, we understand and we get a glimpse of what it's like for people. And, we give advice as to what to give them to eat. For iron deficiency anemia, for example, high, iron-containing foods, green vegetables, red meat, but those things are expensive, and it's difficult for me. I can only advise, but if your choice is between cheap processed food to keep your children from being hungry and expensive nutritious food, people here, obviously don't have a choice. If you could afford it, you would do it, but the people that we're seeing and treating every day, they don't have those options.
And are you clear that these are not isolated cases? You are seeing a lot of children like this on a regular basis?
Absolutely. So there are 500,000 children and young people in Northern Ireland. And, the statistics don't lie. A third of those children, so 170,000 children in Northern Ireland, are living in poverty. And that means that not only do they have poor nutrition, but, poverty is insidious. It affects every molecule of your being. And poverty it affects the whole of your life chances. You can't plan for a future. Poverty obliterates your future because, my children, I can plan for them. I can say, Mummy, will I do this? What do you think about that? And I'll say, yes, go ahead, go for it. I can make plans for them. But if you're poor and you have you don't know where the next meal is coming from, your future is narrowed and all you can think about is what I'm doing tomorrow. So poverty obliterates children's futures and it gives them no life chances.
Reading your article, Julie-Ann, and talking to you now, you sound frustrated and you sound angry. Is that fair to say? Yes.
I wouldn't say I'm angry. I have a rage that, what my children and what other people's children have experienced and are exposed to, that a third of the children in Northern Ireland aren't. And I'm not just talking about food and hunger, which is really important, and their health is really important, but, opportunities for music, for art, those things are not an option for poor children. If you have to scrabble around to feed your children, you're not going to be able to afford the couple of pounds to send them to youth club to do sports or the music lessons or art lessons, so their options are limited, and it's an indictment on our society when a third of our children live in poverty in the 6th wealthiest nation, that there are children on our streets going hungry today.
The Royal College of Paediatrics and Child Health, to which you belong, said in a report 3 years ago that children's health in Northern Ireland was among the worst in Western Europe and that poverty was the root of the problem. Now, to begin with, that is pretty shocking. But if that's the case, it's also shocking that we don't talk about it more as a society. Why do we not talk about it, do you think?
Because it's easier to close your eyes and not say that it's happening. It's easier to say, I'm okay, I'm all right, my family's all right. But when you look around you and you see that, a third of our children here aren't doing as well as they should be, then, it's an indictment of our society. I wrote this article, and even people that I work with are shocked that a third of our children live in poverty. It's not something that we talk about, and we should. And we've written lots of reports. I've been involved in, Why Children Die, which was a report by the Royal College of Paediatrics and Child Health, which really shines a light on, the mortality and the morbidity of children in Northern Ireland. We have the highest infant mortality rate in UK, which means that we have one of the highest in Western Europe. The second highest cause of child death was suicide and violence in our young people. And again, that's the highest in the UK. And all of those things can be tracked back to poverty. So, poverty starts to affect you from the moment of conception. So poor perinatal health, poor maternal health, lower rates of breastfeeding. It becomes a problem from the very moment of conception and then when you're born. And, we really need to be looking at this. Governments and strategic policy should have children front and centre of policy making, and a poverty strategy is absolutely essential for tackling that.
And indeed, you take politicians to task in two ways in your article. One is about the consequences of the austerity programme, which was driven, of course, by the Conservative Party in Westminster. And then you also call for a child poverty strategy to be made a priority, and you've just done that again. That is, of course, a devolved issue for Stormont to handle. How do you think our politicians in Northern Ireland are doing in terms of managing that strategy?
And again, Mark, I'm not a politician, but what I will say is we wrote a report, The State of Child Health, just before lockdown, before COVID-19 pandemic hit Northern Ireland. And we outlined in that, strategies to improve our children's health, to improve our children's life chances, and that has been delayed because of COVID-19. But things have got so much worse for our children. The difference between the haves and the have-nots is increasing. The gap between the wealthiest and the younger children, the wealthiest and the poorest is becoming vast and is expanding. So we need to do something right now. COVID-19 obviously is an issue. And thankfully children aren't, dying with COVID-19. It's a mild illness in them. But the economic consequences and the consequences for families is going to have huge effects on our children's health.
Just finally, Julie-Ann, it is not clear at this stage whether the child poverty strategy will be standalone or whether it will be part of the wider anti-poverty strategy that's being drawn up at Stormont. But the reality is that whatever it is, it isn't going to be in place anytime soon, apparently. What do you make of that fact?
Paediatrics is often a Cinderella service, and we are an afterthought. Oh, what about the children? But we would like children to be at the forefront of every single decision maker's minds in Stormont, so that we can tackle child poverty, and that includes education, justice, health, right across every single department, so that our children, the 170,000 of them in Northern Ireland who are currently living in poverty, will thrive, their lot in life will improve, and that, we can make them be more useful members of society. Happy, healthy children will become happy, healthy, productive adults, and that's what we would like to see. And we'd like to see that expedited as soon as possible. COVID-19 has made things a whole lot worse, so we think that December 21 just isn't good enough.